Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. If we really want to understand the current AI boom, we've got to look past all the hype and talk about a massive, massive surprise. Today we're tracking how the biggest tech companies on the planet are truly positioning themselves for the future. We're going to dive into some literally mind-boggling financial growth numbers, break down the actual structural architecture of the AI industry, and see how one specific tech giant is just dominating the market in a way almost nobody saw coming. I mean, think back to exactly 1 year ago. You remember the narrative, right? Everywhere you looked in the tech and finance worlds, people were saying, Google is a finished company. The absolute consensus, and I mean everyone was saying this, was that new AI startups and chatbots were going to completely destroy Google's search business practically overnight. The whole thesis was that they were totally done for, just completely outmaneuvered in this brand new AI age. So, that brings us to the absolutely crucial question. Why is the exact opposite happening right now? The company that literally everyone wrote off is actually experiencing, well, massive, explosive growth. Instead of some slow tech giant in decline, we are looking at a business that is completely flipping that fatalistic narrative upside down. Let's look under the hood of this massive tech infrastructure and see what the actual numbers are telling us. Okay, the sheer scale of momentum we're seeing right now is just staggering. Across the US, big tech capital expenditure, or CapEx, is absolutely booming. We are right in the middle of a massive $700 billion big tech CapEx cycle. A huge chunk of that is going into cloud business growth, and the results are stunning. Get this, Google Cloud has grown by a whopping 63%. And honestly, that number probably would have been even higher if they just had more server capacity. Now compare that 63% to Amazon's cloud business, which grew by 28%, or Microsoft Azure at 39%. Remember, these are companies worth $3, $4, $5 trillion, and Google is leaving them in the dust here. And when we look at their earnings, it is genuinely hard to wrap your head around the scale. We are talking about quarterly profit after tax, PAT, in the range of 80,000 to 90,000 crore. Just let that sink in for a second. To put that into perspective, a typical, highly successful mid-cap company would be absolutely thrilled to pull in maybe 10 to 100 crore in a single quarter. But here we have one single mega company generating 80,000 to 90,000 crore in pure profit in just 3 months. The scale of this economy is just awe-inspiring. It's like they're operating in a completely different reality. And here's the kicker. Despite pumping all this unprecedented investment into their AI and data center infrastructure, Google's operational efficiency isn't taking a hit at all. In fact, they're maintaining an insane 45% operating margin. On top of that, their operating profit growth is sitting at over 20%. To show that kind of acceleration on such a gigantic base revenue, it's practically unheard of. So they aren't just blowing money, they're highly profitable while doing it, accelerating right past that old narrative that they were finished. Unpacking the 5 AI layers. To really grasp where all this phenomenal success is coming from, let's borrow a brilliant framework recently discussed by Yishan Wang and Dwarkesh Patel. I want you to think of the AI industry as this massive 5-story building. Okay, first, down in the basement, you have energy. Google is actively locking down long-term power purchasing agreements, or PPAs, to secure the grid. Second floor is the chips layer, where Google has their own custom hardware called TPUs. Moving up to the third floor, infrastructure. This is where Google operates its massive, globally distributed data centers. The fourth floor is the models layer, home to their foundational large language models, like Gemini. And finally, you reach the penthouse, the application layer. This features their incredibly sticky consumer products like Google Search and Workspace. So, metaphorically speaking, Google isn't just renting a single floor in this tech building. They literally own the entire shebang, from the power lines in the basement all the way up to the penthouse. Let's actually dive a little deeper into that second layer, chips. Because Google doesn't just rely on standard, off-the-shelf hardware. They use TPUs, or tensor processing units. Now, these aren't your standard multi-purpose GPUs. TPUs are highly specialized hardware chips that are custom designed, backward integrated, and trained specifically for AI inference and processing right inside their data centers. Because they are laser focused on this one single task, it gives Google a massive advantage. It puts them leaps and bounds ahead of competitors who might be relying on general purpose hardware or even things like Amazon's Trainium or Meta's in-house chips. Google's data center business is absolutely exploding right now, and this deep custom integration is a huge reason why. Single layer versus fully integrated. When we map this fully integrated strategy against the rest of the market, the difference is honestly night and day. You see single layer winners everywhere. Pretty much any AI company you read about in the news can be neatly parked into just one of these 5 layers. For instance, ASML Holdings, Nokia, and Sterlite
They're dominating, but they're stuck in the infrastructure layer. NVIDIA, as famous and massive as it is, sits primarily in the chips layer. OpenAI sits mostly in the models and application layers, but then there's Google, our multi-layered dominator. They are uniquely forward and backward integrated across all 5 layers simultaneously. It's truly a one-of-a-kind business in the world right now. And you know what's even crazier? Google actually wins even when its competitors succeed. Take a highly successful AI company like Anthropic, for example. Anthropic has been signing these massive multi-compute deals with cloud providers like Amazon and Google simply because they need colossal infrastructure to run their models. So not only is Google selling them the raw compute power they desperately need, but Google also holds strategic equity, a massive shareholding in Anthropic. So whenever Anthropic monetizes or has a big win, well, Google wins there too. It's just a remarkably foolproof positioning.
Why search revenue is accelerating. Bringing this full circle back to that original myth, the idea that search was completely dead, we really have to look closely at that penthouse application layer. While competitors like Microsoft are facing some massive risks right now because they have all these complex enterprise software products that are vulnerable to being disrupted by AI, Google's main focus is just the everyday consumer. Google simply took their Gemini AI model and seamlessly integrated it directly into Google's search and workspace. Now, you just get the AI answers right there on the search page. For the average consumer, their basic everyday usage is completely covered by tools that are fast, free, and incredibly easy to use. So rather than cannibalizing their own product, this slick integration has actually made their ecosystem stickier than ever before.
And here is the absolute mic drop. Because of this seamless consumer integration, Google's search revenue didn't die. It didn't even just stay flat. It actually accelerated by 16 to 19%. Let me just repeat that because it's wild. Their core search business, operating on an already unimaginably gigantic revenue base, accelerated its growth by up to 19%. That whole thesis from last year, yeah, it was just spectacularly wrong. So how does the stock market currently value all this? Well, if you break the company down and do a sum of the parts valuation, it is absolutely wild. Google is currently trading at a PE multiple of around 25 to 30. Now, because of the explosive, massive value of their cloud computing, their backward integration with those TPUs we talked about, and their utter dominance in data centers, analyzing the valuation suggests that at today's prices, you are practically getting YouTube and Google Search, literally 2 of the largest platforms in human history, for free. It's not like it's a hidden secret company, but the current market dynamics are just fascinating.
Which really leaves us with this final profound question to consider. We hear a lot of talk about a dystopian future where just a couple of mega companies control literally everything in the world. Well, looking at a company that is fully, perfectly integrated across all 5 layers of AI, from the power plant deals in the basement to the custom chips, the massive data centers, the foundational models, all the way up to the final consumer apps, are we already living in that future? The initial thesis was that AI would completely democratize search and destroy Google. But as we've seen in this explainer today, by owning the entire tech stack, Google might just be the ultimate winner. Thank you so much for exploring this with me, and I really hope this gave you a totally new way to look at the AI landscape.